Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all. And I hope you're having a good summer. We're in we're in Maine. We only get to wear t-shirts about 2 months a year out of the year. I'm super happy to have bring my t-shirts out and have them for a little while. But I also, I like those long sleeve things too. So it works year round. I was in Florida for almost 25 years, and I remember, I had about 25 pairs of shorts, and I wore the shorts 11 months out of the year. And now I have stacks of shorts that I almost never wear. It's really interesting being in the Northeast and the New England and Maine cold weather. And I like it. I love the snow. I have a season pass to go skiing in next year. It's only like because I just turned 70, they're $55 for a season pass to go skiing. And I'm this bodysuit's gonna ski until I guess till it's can't do it anymore. But I'm enjoying having a new set of knees on both legs, and I skied the last couple of years. It's awesome to be able to ski again with new knees. And welcome everyone to the Gospel of Thomas. We're just breezing right along. We're 81. We'll see how far we go. Could be to close to 90, 91 this week, and we'll be finished at 114. And I'll just be picking up where Susan leaves off with you guys that are in her Angelo DeLullo book. I've been watching the videos. I'm very engaged with the content. I've been following along with your discussion, and we'll be following that format in the Angelo DeLullo book. I really enjoy the conversation that's happening over there. And you guys that don't know what that is, it's in Evolve, and we're making some amazing changes, not really changes so much that we're bringing in a new teaching series for next year, Awaken Stillness series, and it will be following a lot of the presenters that are in the conference coming up in November, Awaken Stillness Conference. And you're welcome to join us. It's going to be an exciting series next year. And this book study, the things we do at the Center for Awakening, the things we do at Awakening Mind Film, to do with Awaken the World, where we're publishing all those films. It's really to support all of us in our awakening experience. This is not, a sprint. This is the journey of awakening. This is where we bring content of the direct experience into life experiences, and it happens here when we have conversations. It happens in the conferences. It happens in the book studies, other book studies. It happens in the sessions that we have that we've set up that next year and pretty soon we're going to be calling CFA Live, the Center for Awakening Live events that will be happening, and you'll know more about pretty soon. And who would like to open? So that's all the commercial time. I'm not really making an advertising. I'm just sort of giving you an update on other things that we do. And we're looking at saying 81. And for those that are new or haven't been here in a while, just raise your hand if you want to read the saying. First, we read the saying that was in the Gospel of Thomas, and then we read the italicized by Cameron McColl. And who would like to go first? Too real.
And it's Gail. It's yeah, to be real.
Yale. Oh,
Yeah,
to be real.
to
Oh,
be
good, good,
real.
good. To be real.
Yes.
Sorry.
How are you today?
Good, good, good to see you. I like your background again. I
Well,
have a
thank
new
you.
one.
I see that's a nice one.
Yeah.
So 81, huh?
Yep.
Jesus said, "Let him who has grown rich be king, and let him who possesses power renounce it." Cameron says, "Let us create a world where those rich in understanding and in humility become our leaders, and those without such gifts relinquish whatever worldly power they have." Now, I really like what he said. And
Yeah.
then I look at the world from my separated mind and go,
Yeah. Well, the cool thing, Gail, is that as we go deeper in our understanding and the clarity of our true nature, it's the ability to do just what we just did. We just laughed about it. You can look at things that are astonishing, shocking, even that are, like, oh my God, and you can actually not, you can't laugh about all of them. Some of them are clear travesties, and yet you can rest in the unreality of it. If you can't laugh, if it's not laughable, at least you can rest in the unreality of it, knowing that we are
hmm.
what's real. Yeah,
Exactly.
awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, moving right along to 82. Who would like to read 82? These are some short and sweet ones and can be left alone. What's different in this book study and the one that is Angelo DeLullo, I noticed it is all the mics are open over there and everybody just kind of, it's like driving in India. There's not a lot of red lights or stop signs, but everybody knows when to stop. Yeah. Renee, welcome.
Uh, thank you very much, Bill. I really appreciate what you've been doing here. I love this study group. This study group. Uh,
Thank you.
so 82, Jesus said, "He who is near me is near the fire, and he who is far from me is far from the kingdom." Now, Thomas says, "He who is near Jesus is near the fire of truth, which harm every out,
Burns.
which harms
No,
away our
Burns.
beliefs, fears, and desires. When these are gone, only our true nature remains, that which we truly are, and we are at peace. If the belief in a separate and personal consciousness remain, so do the fears and desires, and peace will forever elude us. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Renee. And I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. Jesus said, "He who is near me is near the fire, and he who is far from me is far from the kingdom." Uh, This can easily be mistaken as being near Jesus. He's not talking about being near me, even though he said it. he's talking about he who is near me. Now, identifying who me is important because me isn't the man. Me is consciousness. Me in this context is it's like when Jesus said in the truly I say to you, before Abraham is, I am. This is one of those where he was identifying the me as not the person, but he who is near me is not just near the fire, but is the fire. He that identifies as the self, as awareness, is the fire. And and he who is far from me, so he who is ignorant or is living as the separate self identity is far from identifying as the self, as the kingdom. And then Cameron goes on when he says, "He who is near Jesus is near the fire of truth." He's also speaking about he who is near the consciousness of Jesus is near the fire of truth. That's what we're doing here. He or she who's near this book of the gospel according to Thomas is closer. Those that are here are closer to the truth than those that are reading the New York Times or watching Netflix. Yes. Thank you, Renee. And Rick has his hand up. Hey, Rick.
Hey, hi, Bill. It's amazing. You just I raised my hand. You pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. Because that just goes to show you, as short as some of these can be, they can seem, well, that's easy, that's short, but they're all worthy of some contemplation, and that's a fine example. Me, Jesus is nobody. Jesus is no different than Bill. Uh, Jesus, me, it's not the Jesus that's important. It's the Christ. Okay, it's the Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, whatever word you want to use, Shiva, reality, truth. Not me, Jesus, the individual. But words are clumsy, and he can only talk to his disciples at a certain level. I mean, they were lost as it is for the most part, you know. So these are great concessions, and that's a fine example. Me is never referring to the man, Jesus, when he talks. Jesus says he's referring to that which he really is, the Christ, the God consciousness. And I agree with the interpretation. The fire is that God conscious, Christ conscious, that destroys the division in the mind. Okay, the lies of the mind, so to speak, the conditioning. And those that are near the fire are near the Christ consciousness, not the Jesus. Okay, because most of the world, in my view, they worship Jesus. Okay, the man, and that's okay. It's moving in the right direction, but we're talking about the one that wasn't born. That's why it's a virgin birth. Okay, we're talking about the Christ consciousness, which wasn't born, not the physical body of Jesus. And that's very easily, I think, over missed. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, and the reason it's important to point out these little subtle difference or the subtle distinction, the subtle pointing of what that me is because it's when one recognizes what he's pointing to is you, your true nature, is when attention is moves to that direct experience and one realizes their own true nature. So the only this is not to have to be smarter or more intellectual about these subtle word meanings. It's so that because when you shift the word meaning over to, oh, he's talking about the same me of my me. When you say me, you're not talking about, in that context, you're not talking about the body mind, me. He's talking about me, Christ consciousness, just what you just said, Rick. And that's why I think it's important when someone has clarity around a particular meaning that goes deeper the in the understanding, it actually can become a portal, a portal, not a porthole, a portal for experience. Yeah. Thank you. And who would like to read 83 unless we have some other comment on 82? 83 is open. To be real.
I can do this again.
I read the name, I'm going, to real. Okay, that's Gail.
It's all good. I've actually, it's a profile name that I've had for like 15 years.
Oh, nice.
And it just came to me, to be real. And I never really attached anything to it, and until recently, it's like, oh, what does that really mean, Gail? Why was that given to you? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
So
Like it,
83.
Gail.
Uh, Jesus said, the images are manifest to man, but the light in them remains concealed in the image of the light of the Father. He will become manifest, but his image will remain concealed by his light. And Collins says, man sees the world, but not that which gives rise to the world. That which gives rise to the world is beingness itself, and also called Brahman, which itself comes into existence out of the void, the potentiality of all things, also called Atman. Ultimately, Brahman and Atman are one and are not other than that which we also call God or consciousness. This is very deep and heavy. I was just like, and parts of me still just don't get it. I mean, I get the part where, we have these images, but we don't think about where they come from. I think of that quote of, I think, therefore I am, but it's really I am, therefore I think,
Yes. Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, so this one here, it's like I said, it was tough for me to kind of tease that one apart, but I kind of get the gist of the overall
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. Yeah. You could stop on the top one when you recognize um, that when he's talking about the Father, that he's talking about the presence that is available to each of us right now. And when our attention goes to that presence, it's the same as the light of the Father. It's the same, it's the direct experience that we have available right now. And really that pointing says it all. When Jesus said that I am one with the Father and you're one with me, when I used to think of that statement as concepts, it was just concepts. But when you can recognize that the Father it's not different or separate than Christ consciousness, than awareness, than presence. It's where, oh my God, in this body mind, in this experience that thought itself to be Bill or Gail or anyone else, it has access to this Father, this name that's called Father is now coming in as, oh, this is not just a concept. This is a thing that's that's me. That's what I am. And I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. And if anyone has anything else they would like to say on that, we'll we're ready to hear what you have to say, or we'll move to 84 and look at that one. We're breezing right along, just 20 minutes in. Who wants to read this? You know, going back to what you said, Gail, about you know, some of the language in that part that Cameron wrote. I used to have the same thing in using the word Brahman and Atman and you know all these other names. You could even when I went to India the time before the last, and I'm looking at this, you know, these huge, as big as multi-story buildings, these huge statues of Hanuman, the monkey, or Shiva, you know, so you sort of you go, well, who and what is that? And then you learn, you know, you get familiar with the new words and language and the meaning of it, and it's really just a different words that are pointing to the same experience, the same amazing grace that consciousness has to present itself in the multiple uh, uh, cultures around the world. I just marvel at it when I find all these different descriptions that are really open to the truth of our true nature, which is everyone. You know, everyone is God's infinite being. All the animals, all the humans, all the bugs and minerals, they're all God's infinite being. And Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, if we're done with 83, I was going to read
Thank you.
84.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a kind of a twisty one. It said, Jesus said, when you see your likeness, you rejoice. But when you see your images, which came into being before you, and which neither die nor become manifest, how much you will have to bear. You know, that's that. I really had to look at this one for a while. The first part to me is simply when you come to know yourself, you rejoice. When you come to see yourself in all things, you
Yeah.
know, that's
As
joy,
I am.
right?
You know
Yeah,
yourself as I am. Yeah.
yeah, and that's very joyful. It's you know, it's its own joy
Yeah.
to love yourself, so to speak. Um, but the last part where he says, you know, he says, in which neither die nor become manifest, how much you will have to bear. I think he's just pointing at the, you know, the real you is immortal, doesn't die, and it's invisible, and it can be difficult to really accept um, the true nature of the self. Um,
Yeah. When I read that,
yeah,
I
it's a
wrote
tough one.
down
The last sentence.
when I read that, I wrote down when there seemed to be two yous. When there seems to be two yous, that which neither dies nor becomes manifest, how much will you have to bear before you, and which neither die nor become manifest. Actually, that's just talking about the single you.
Or yeah, that's one way to look at it. Or you could say another way of you saying uh, that once you understand there's nothing that dies and really nothing that really becomes manifest, okay, because it's all one,
Yep.
how difficult that is to bear for the individual. Okay. See what I'm saying? For the individual, not the one. Because really nothing dies and nothing really comes into existence. Okay. Um, if you really get down to the nuts and bolts, it's all just one. And then he says, how much will you have to bear? I mean, that's a big pill to swallow. So he may be referring to the individual at that point.
Yeah.
Can you bear the understanding that?
Yeah.
Because everything's one, everything's love. Can you bear it? Can you live with that?
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that's his intent, but that's the beauty of contemplating these things, because it could certainly be interpreted that way. At that point, he'd be talking to the individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much can you bear?
Yeah.
When
That
you
sounds
understand that nothing dies and nothing comes into manifest. That's pretty deep. If you're just 2,000 years ago hearing this, you go, this guy's,
they're going, what is he talking
yeah.
about?
I
Right.
think maybe that's why they had to include some of the miracles that maybe never happened, just to make it more believable. Because some of the stuff just to sell it, because the words, until one takes the time to actually look at the words, they're just so out there that they're either misinterpreted or there's no desire to even look at them.
Right.
There has to be a selling point. There has to be something to get your attention. Because the miracles are about me, an individual, for the most part, the specialness. They're like to get your attention, to say this is really authentic, because it's not about the miracles. We are the miracle. But the miracles throughout many religions kind of certainly get your attention and say, hey, maybe this is authentic. They get your interest, and hopefully something else takes over. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Oh, you want to read the Cameron's italicized?
Yeah. Wait a minute. We're on 84, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We spent all that time just talking about the original.
Yeah. That's good. It's all good. When you see images of yourself, you rejoice because you think this is who you are. If, however, you were to, what's that word?
It says envisage.
It's a word I never use. But if you were to envisage with the same clarity all the different memories of who you've been in this life, the images which neither die nor become manifest, and the changes which your body mind has undergone, how challenged would you be to reconcile the unchanging you, which you know yourself to be, in a constantly changing kaleidoscope of remembered images of you? I like that kaleidoscope, because it's a merry-go-round, and the ones that come up, we believe, and discard the others, kind of, in that moment. A very interesting one, and I agree with everything you said, and that's the beauty of these. The longer you stay on one, the more potentially come up.
Yeah.
There's different levels.
He got some
Especially
true
the
downloads.
pronouns.
Yeah. When he was reading these things, he went into that place of transmission that
Silence. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Especially to be aware, like you said, the pronouns, you, me, us, we, those are particularly can be deceiving. You know, who's referring to when he says
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you, or because they can go both ways. Okay, because he's using words which are only symbols. And he's talking to people that don't understand anything about this, so he uses words me in both contexts. Okay,
Yeah.
so you really have to look into it and uh, you know, not just assume uh, it's a generic pronoun. Me's not always me, you know. So,
Yeah.
and he does that throughout, and that's just the nature of words. You have to, pretty much, otherwise they walk away, you know.
Yeah.
But you had to keep their attention.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, we're gonna Gail has her hand up. Hey, Gail. And
Yeah, I have my hand
Gail,
up, but
before you come back, Gail, I just want to give a shout out to William Price. William, I'm glad you made it to this class. I know that you somehow you didn't get your link or something, but I saw you come in and I want to welcome you back. Gail?
well, I didn't get this one at all. It just went completely over my head. And um, I was kind of wondering, well, what does he mean by images? Are those the thoughts and feelings that we perceive ourselves to be? And if there are perceptions, how can it, uh, and then I guess my confusion is that, if these are my thoughts and perceptions, that these images, then that they don't neither, he says, the images which neither die nor become manifest. And it's kind of like a disconnect for me. I just I can't seem to put those two together.
Yeah, well, this is what Rick was also saying, that this is a difficult one because it's really at a high, it's talking about a very high level of the absolute, uh, which is formless and it's always is and it's never not. And to be able to communicate this, he's communicating it in this interesting kind of koan and in description. And in the images, the image, if you're talking about the image, well, Bill is the image or Gail is the image. It's the image that we have made in one context. And then, if you go to Genesis, we're made in the image and likeness of God. Well, that's formless. So it really depends on the context that the description is talking about. And here he says, when you see your images, which came into being before you, and I interpret that as being uh, it- the images didn't come in before my true nature because I am always, I am infinite. So in that way, when it's talking about seeing images, it's talking about something coming in to manifest, which is after the absolute. And he goes on to say, and which neither die nor become manifest. So he's not talking about us. He's not talking about physical form happening. He's talking about the absolute, and it is a kind of it's
Abstract.
both.
I think you provided some clarity for me, so I'm going to get it on the level I'm going to get it, but you provided
Right.
some clarity.
Yeah. Each one of us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Each
you.
one of us. Yeah. Thank you. And Dago.
Are you on 86 now or?
We're on 84. We just finished 84 and we're moving to 85. You want to read that?
Sure.
And, Mel, we'll come back to your hand up, okay?
It says, Jesus said Adam came into being from a great power and great wealth, but he did not come worthy of you, for he had been worthy. He would not have experienced, for had he been worthy, he would not have experienced death. So for me, when it says Adam came into being from a great power and great wealth, it's not from the actual wealth, it's from within, from spirit, from awareness. But he did not become worthy of you. Well, I just, when I see that, it's like worthy, it's like I sometimes get a little confused with the words. I mean, it's like I know, but I kind of get confused a little bit with the words. And I lose my way sometimes too.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. That's a using. I put and it did not become worthy of you because it's not a he really, it's an it. For had it been worthy, it would not have experienced death. And I'm wondering if that's a typo because it seems like uh, it seems like it would say, for had it been worthy, it would have experienced death. Because being worthy is saying that you earned something, and there's nothing to earn. There's so I don't know. The word worthy is tricky, just as you pointed out, and then also I'm just curious if that word not is a typo, if it belongs actually in the sentence, because when you take not out of that sentence, it all makes way better sense to me. I could be wrong. You want to read what Cameron said?
Yeah. It says, the disciples became worthy as a result of their opportunity to have lived with and learned from Jesus. Jesus, they experienced firsthand what it is to live in truth. Such an opportunity as precious and rare in such op- such an opportunity is precious and rare in this world. For most of us who are interested in knowing our true nature, such a relationship is most joyful and beautiful and beautiful experience and equally necessary. Yeah, it's for me, it's what calls me. It's this love that just calls me always, no matter what is happening. I have that drawing, that call. Oh, stop. Go within. Know this love that you are. Um, um, So, and that's my calling always, which is just so, to me, beautiful to always have it. And that's why I love like all the teachings, because they just always call me back to this awareness, to this love that we all are. And now we get to know, which is so amazing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I like to take when I hear relationship, whether it's relationship with Jesus or the text, the amazing truth that we're reading. I consider relationship to be the relationship that's revealed with the self, with knowing the self, the relationship that one realizes they have with their own true nature. That's where the two become one, and the experience, the true relationship is knowing the self, because that's what all the relationships are kind of, they're all looking for that, even if it's in the physical. But in terms of the truth, we have a relationship right now with this little book, and it's not the book, it's the truth that's being revealed in the book, and having a discussion about it. Yeah. Thank you. And before I go to Rick, Mel, you had your hand up from the last one from 84. Did you want to?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You keep going since
Okay.
it's about another one, so that's all right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Rick, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, just a couple, when he says, Adam came into being from a great power, the great power being the Father or consciousness. Um, um, and you could, as did every spiritual being, because we are Adam in a sense.
Yeah.
The word Adam means new man, okay? Every spiritual being. So in a sense, we all are Adam. Uh, and I interpret the great wealth is no different than the power being the Father consciousness, the great wealth being the heaven, love, truth, and beauty, the attributes of the power being the treasure in heaven, so to speak. Now, the last part, where he says about the death, where he says every new spiritual being experiences a death, like a loss of the true identity, because every new being has to kind of like eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so to speak. Okay, because there's still the same one, but there's ignorance. This is just a way of looking at it. So the old self that had lost its true identity is not worthy of the new self. So it's kind of a death there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, they're ignorant, but they had to eat from the tree from knowledge and good and evil. So that was kind of a spiritual death, so to speak. And in a sense, if it's not a typo, it's possible that.
That's what I'm saying. You're actually bringing out that this is not a typo. It has a deeper meaning in the not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we just need to be so careful on all these. And that's just one way of looking at it. I'm sure there's others. But the Adam and Eve, a good example, knowledge of good and evil. Okay. We're all Adam. Okay. And we all have to experience, it's not like we're just ignorant human beings and we become a spiritual being. No, we are what we are. So we are already spiritual beings. So there is kind of a first spiritual death, in a sense, to become a greater, to be worthy of the new self, so to speak. Words are difficult, but you can contemplate that there's something there.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Michael, did you had your hand up? Did you have something you wanted to say on this? Okay, Jude.
Yes, hi everybody. Hi Bill.
Hey, Jude.
The what came to me was that I'm not in proper relation to anything until I'm in proper relationship with my capital self, my one true self. And that puts me in proper relationship with everything. And that only the truth can know the truth in someone. And that's the the part that's referring to the worthiness, I think. Because if you don't know you're the truth, you can't know it in someone else unless they know it, and then it's your lack of knowing it is revealed to you through the person who does know it. It has to
Hmm.
come in contact with itself. And I think that's the importance of this lesson, that why it's rare and it's so um, precious, that when we come into contact with true masters or true sages, that they know something that I don't. And that I really should be reverent around people who have such wisdom. Um, that it, because when I hear the truth, it always is joyful and it's always a beautiful experience. And this we know, we inherit because the truth is inherent in us, but we may not know it until someone who really knows it reveals it to us. So
Hmm.
that's I'm complete.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I totally connect with everything you said. Thank you. Okay, let's move to 86. Who would like to read this? Colleen. Oh, you good. You changed your name.
I, why was I Michael? I don't know. Jesus said, "The foxes have their holes, and the birds have their nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest." Rhymes. Jesus is not of this world, and in truth, neither are we. There is no place of permanent rest for either of us here. We must look beyond the objective world to find true peace and a place to lay our head and rest. You know, I maybe I just think simply, but or maybe it's the fact that I've been doing the Course in Miracles, the 365-day lessons for I don't know how many years now. Um, and so you're constantly reminded of a lot of the principles, right? And I look at this one and it's like, there's a number. I can think of a number of lessons that just pop into my head. Um, yeah, this is not our home, right? Heaven is our home. Um, True peace. I mean, it was just a couple days ago. If you're following the A Course in Miracle 365-day lessons, it was just a couple days ago. The lesson, the only peace that exists is the peace of God. Okay. So if you're going to find true peace, it isn't in this world. And I think in some of the past lessons that some folks have found to be a bit obtuse, I think I it's less obtuse if you're really doing those lessons, right? Because it really does come back to um, the basics, the basics of A Course in Miracle. It pretty much answers every issue you might have with this book. So
Mm.
anyone who's kind of struggling with this book, I would say go back and look at those 365 lessons, because the answers are there. It all says the same thing, actually. Different words, same meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's the difference but in the course is and I, I too uh, I followed the workbook lessons for 8 years, and then I retranslated them into the non-dual language. And because it has a dualistic um, and level confusion when you use the dualistic terms. For me, I like to bring it into a direct experience. And this world, you can find the peace of God because you are the peace of God, and you can know the self even when you're in this body mind, because you know you're not the body mind.
Right.
And the course is, it's filled with concepts, and when the concepts become your direct experience of knowing the self, then they're like drinking from the fountain of 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 clarity and beauty, because you know that all of it's accurate, it's all true, and it's consciousness coming to itself, and you have the experience that it's pointing to. You have the experience of the peace of God.
Right.
And it does have a relative experience of inner peace and happiness, uh, just to know that.
Well, we do get snippets, right? And everybody understands that some of these concepts we've all had tiny little experiences of. And I would just say I think the last person who would listen to people that seem, sages who seem to know more. And I thought, no, 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 yeah, sure, people know more. But the reality, remember, the big lesson is you need to go inside and find your inner teacher, right? Because every time you keep looking outside, every time you're not spending that time kind of looking, asking that inner teacher, then you're just, I don't know, it's sort of it's a delay tactic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be and often anything that your inner teacher uh, is who, right? Can it be found? Is it known? And when that's contemplated and discovered, then it answers itself. Thank you, Colleen, for that insight and referencing to the course. And I love the workbook lessons of the course. We're gonna start those. I think we're in the 200s right now, and I just love following those workbook lessons. And Rick, oh, and Dago.
Um, I think I lost my place. Where are we?
Well, we're on 80,
87.
87. Yep.
Jesus said, wretched is the body that is dependent upon a body, and wretched is the soul that is dependent on these two. And this is because, first of all, we're not the body. And when we think we are the body, then we suffer because that's just not who we are. We forget. And then we remember that we are awareness, then we can go, oh, okay, the body can do whatever it wants. That's not what I am. And then it says, to be afraid of death is to be afraid of life. Wretched, therefore, is a person who believes himself to be his body, for the threat of physical death is always close at hand. Wretched, too, is the one who identifies with his mind. Oh, I'll start with just that first one, the physical. So it's like, again, if you believe you are the person and that body, you will suffer. Because the body, that's not, first of all, that's not what you are. And the body's going to experience, when you believe you are the body, you're going to experience all the suffering that the body experiences. But when you know that you're not the body, then you can let the body have whatever experience it has. And then you can step back and go, okay, that's not what I am. I am this love, this awareness of this body.
Yeah. That's super clear, Indigo. Thank you for that. Thank you for your clarity. And Rick, what would you have to add or say?
Well, I got nothing to add on that one. I was going to make a comment on 86, actually.
Okay, go back. Sure.
Because it's one of my favorites when he says the foxes, have their holes to hide in, and the birds have their nest. But the Son of Man, which is an interesting term, but that's another discussion, has no place to rest his head. Now, he could have also said in there, not only talk about the foxes and the birds, but he could also have said individuals have their beliefs and opinions. The foxes have their holes, the birds have their nests, and individuals have their opinions and beliefs. But the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. In other words, the Son of Man transcends it all. There's, and I love a lot of what Colleen said about, a lot of these things, they're all saying the same thing. And in retrospect, they are, if you're ready to really hear it. I mean, you can go back and once you, post glimpse, you can go back and read the Bible, anything, take on an entirely different meaning. But when he says the Son of Man, who you really are, has no place to rest his head. In other words, no place, nothing to believe in. Beliefs don't work. There's no anchor. Okay, there's nothing there's no objective foundation. Okay, there's no beliefs or opinions that'll work. There's no holes like the foxes or nests like the birds. And all that works is experiential. Beliefs don't work. And there's always a danger in all of these words. Like Colleen kind of implied, there's only one guru. If a teacher seems to be talking truth, it's the truth in you that recognizes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's only a teacher because he's very intelligent, and he's very good at articulating. He's a good teacher. That's an art and skill in itself. Okay. He's not special. Okay. He's been doing, structured it for a long time and worked with it for a long time. There's nothing, he doesn't know anything that you don't know. And the beliefs are kind of dangerous. It's even to say, even though they're true, they're stepping stones. To say, I'm God, or I'm consciousness, I'm awareness, I'm real. They're half truths. Okay. Again, no place to lay. Don't totally believe them. They can evoke an experience. The meaning's not in the words. Those are beliefs. Okay. They can potentially evoke a non-objective knowing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's indisputable. Okay. But don't allow the words to turn into anchors. Don't allow them to turn into holes like the foxes have and nest. Don't allow your opinions and beliefs to They're just pointers, all of them. The truth cannot be spoken. Okay, but the right words can evoke experiential truth. Okay, and that's experiential. It's aha, I get it. It can't be articulated. And it's important to keep that in mind, or we start falling in love with the words and what they're saying, which is okay. They're true, but the foundation needs to be the experiential. Again, Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest. Okay, nothing he can hold on to and say that's it. Okay, no anchor. Beliefs and opinions are very dangerous. The tools are the teachings. Every teaching is invaluable if it's contemplated and really heard. But to believe it, as soon as you start believing it, it's a potential danger. Okay, if it's not, rooted in experiential, if that helps at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick. We're at the end of our time, and Carol, still want to acknowledge your hand up.
Hi, I'll be quick. I was just on 87 where it says, wretched is the body that is dependent upon a body, and wretched is the soul that is dependent on these two. And it just brought me back to Jude's comment in the chat where the soul that is dependent on these two, we're looking for what we are. The body mind is looking for its soul, and that's all that there is, and can't find it, just like Jude said. And so it's really subtle, but wretched is the soul that is dependent on these two. It's depending on finding something that it isn't.
That it can never find.
That it can never find.
Yeah.
So it was just so subtle that I wanted to, anyway.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Carol and Jude. And thank you all for being here. I'll be back at 3:00 if you're in practicing presence. And you all have an awesome day. And I'll see you next week. And we'll pick up on 88 next week. All right.